Welcome back to Collocation Coach. This is episode 4, and look, today we're moving way beyond those basic vocabulary flashcards to actually decode the hidden cognitive mechanics of English verbs. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by grammar rules, trust me, you are definitely not alone. But today, we're not just going to memorize a bunch of boring exceptions, we are completely rewiring how you see language. We're going to look at everyday verbs and rescue you from information overload by revealing the fascinating invisible logic that governs how native speakers actually communicate. Today's roadmap: the invisible magnetic pull, understanding collocations. The eternal battle, make versus do. The lazy verb trap, overusing the verb get. Upgrading get, elegant alternatives. Directional verbs and gravity, the logic of fall and grow. The whole goal here is to stop you from constantly translating in your head and help you speak intuitively. To kick things off, there is this brilliant paradox in how English treats completely invisible words almost as if they were physical objects forged in a furnace. Think about the last time you were sitting in a crowded room, maybe at a dinner party or a high-stakes meeting. You waited for a pause in the conversation, you opened your mouth, your vocal cords vibrated, and you spoke. Physically speaking, you performed an action, right? You exerted physical effort. And yet, the English language insists that when you speak, you aren't just performing an action. You don't do a comment, you make a comment, you make an excuse, you make a contribution. Why on earth does our language treat these invisible, abstract concepts like physical things we're literally manufacturing out of thin air? Well, this brilliantly illustrates the core concept of our explainer today: collocations. This is what linguists call that invisible magnetic pull between certain words. Now, to someone learning the language from the outside, these pairings can feel totally arbitrary and super frustrating. But as you'll see, they aren't random at all. They actually possess a hidden logic based on deeply ingrained cognitive mechanics. This is really all about creation versus execution. What's really interesting here is that in many languages, like French, Spanish, or Italian, there's just one primary verb that covers both of these ideas. But English demands a strict, unwavering division of labor, bringing an entirely new entity into existence that wasn't there before. Make arrangements, make a choice, make a mistake. Do, the worker, execution, carrying out a routine or performing an action where the concept already exists. Do your homework, do the ironing, do exercises. Let's see how this plays out in everyday tasks. You do your homework because the teacher already created the assignment, right? The worksheet already exists out there in the world. You're just executing the physical labor of completing it. The exact same goes for doing the ironing or doing exercises. You aren't inventing the concept of laundry, you're just performing the routine. But on the flip side, you make arrangements or you make a choice, because before you acted, those things literally didn't exist in the universe. By choosing, you produced a brand new outcome. And beautifully, this is exactly why you make a mistake. The mistake wasn't there until you completely fabricated that new reality. Let's tie this back to our opening paradox about vocal cords. When learners get tangled up here, they're usually only thinking in terms of physical, mechanical actions, but language is highly metaphorical. When you speak, what is the actual result of your vocal cords vibrating? You are generating ideas. You're taking an abstract concept from inside your brain and manifesting it into the room. That is why you make a comment or text a friend to make an excuse. You are quite literally fabricating a lie or producing words, bringing something brand new into the world. The rule of thumb: If something is being brought into the world, you make it. Section 3. The Lazy Verb Trap. Let's be honest. When learners are speaking in real time, their brains often panic. And what happens? They reach for a linguistic safety net. That safety net is the verb get. It is, without a doubt, the single most overworked, exhausted, constantly abused word in the English language. Look, using get to describe every single change in state isn't technically a grammatical error, but it acts as a massive roadblock to fluency. It just sounds highly unnatural, overly informal, and super repetitive. We really need to break out of this trap. Fortunately, there are highly specific flavors of change you can use to instantly elevate your speaking style away from that lazy catch-all. Here are some elegant alternatives to get. Go, used for sudden or negative shifts in the human body, e.g., going bald, going deaf, going blind. It is also used for uncontrollable aggressive reactions, e.g., your face goes red, or slow decay, e.g., old pages of a book going yellow. You don't get bald like a package in the mail. Turn, strong collocations with nature, colors, and dramatic shifts, e.g., the sky turns gold at sunset, a tomato turns red, hair turns white overnight. It implies an instantaneous, staggering transformation. Become, the sophisticated older sibling. This is your tool for formal contexts, academic writing, and serious emotional states. You don't get famous, you become famous. Dinosaurs didn't get extinct, they became extinct. Using this signals professional commitment and a really high level of control. Let's actually test this logic against some common essay mistakes. You don't get a heart attack. You have or suffer a heart attack. You don't get a baby. You have a baby. Tying right back to our very first rule today, the artist versus the worker, you do not get new friends. You make new friends, because you are actively producing and fabricating that new relationship out of thin air. Section 5. Directional verbs and gravity. To connect all these cognitive mechanics to the real world, let's look at a quick personality questionnaire. I want you to engage directly with this explainer right now. Do you ever make negative comments about your friend's clothes? Notice how make a comment is hidden right there in plain sight. It's not do a comment because you're producing that negative remark. Drop your honest answer in the comment section below. A, always, B, sometimes, or C, never. Let us know. While you're typing that out, I want you to chew on this final, highly visual linguistic puzzle. The source material mentions 2 other brilliant alternatives to get that are entirely rooted in physical direction and gravity. Why do we say someone fell ill or the room fell silent? We instinctively associate moving downward with a loss of control. You fall into sickness, losing control. Growing. Why do we say someone grew older or the noise grew louder? We associate moving upward with accumulation and taking up space. Noise accumulates and grows. It just proves that language is deeply, wonderfully visual once you finally know where to look. So, the next time you speak, ask yourself, are you just doing a routine or are you making something entirely new? Keep noticing those invisible forces. What other everyday words are hiding a deeper cognitive logic? Until next time, keep exploring.